Are you a composer that is looking for a way to make your instrumental cues for TV shows faster and objectively better and certifiably more usable to a TV show? If you answered yes to any of those questions, then you are in the right spot, because in this video, I'm going to share the one thing that really made all of the difference in the world to me and my music career. And it is a strategy that is so freaking simple that when you hear it, you're gonna kick yourself and be like,
duh, I could have figured that out.
well, you could have figured it out on your own, I'm sure, given enough time, because there's really nothing stupendous about this strategy. It's just so simple that it's often overlooked by people because composers want to make things harder than they should be. And when we make music for TV shows, we are looking for simple music that solves a problem as simply as possible, which often results in simple composition strategies. So as a result of this one little thing, geez, I sound like I'm making some clickbait video. This is not clickbait, I swear. This is one simple thing that changed everything for me. And I developed this strategy about 12 years ago. This was after 3 years or so of being a fledgling composer who struggled to make music quickly and didn't really have any successes under my belt to get that excited about. And after I started composing my music this way, I started making hundreds of tracks every single year that were almost instantly signed by music libraries and invariably would work their way into TV shows, getting placements, leading to the one result that we all really want in this world, and that is bigger and bigger royalty checks. All right, so that's enough preamble. Let's get right into it. You ready? Let's go. So I call this strategy the King, Queen, Jack, Ace strategy. Here we've got a deck of playing cards. There are 52 cards in here. We're going to get rid of these jokers here, and we are going to focus on these 4 cards right here. The King, the Queen, the Jack, and the Ace. And these cards are going to represent sections within our music that have different levels of power as you go along through the cue. So if you are familiar with poker or blackjack or any type of card game, you will know that the Ace is the most powerful card in the deck. But right underneath that, we've got the King. So if you have a King in your hand, you have a very high, powerful card. We are going to use the power categories of these cards to denote the sections of our cue. And this means that each cue that you write is going to have about 4 sections of varying intensity. So one thing you should know right away is that this strategy is going to make judicious use of the copy and paste function in your DAW. Now, I know, you're probably thinking,
well, I didn't think we were supposed to copy and paste our music.
yeah, well, embrace the copy and paste. And now you might be thinking, well, if I'm just copying and pasting music, isn't it going to sound ultra repetitive after like 2 minutes? And the answer is no, because we are going to do things within our copy and pasted sections that will make them distinctly different in terms of power. So the way I typically start my musical cues is by coming in all in. And if you want to know why I typically start all in, you can watch this video right here. It's an older one of mine, so just bear with the production style, but it's called The First 4 Seconds, and it explains to you why it is so important to start off with a bang to reel in the listener, who is an editor at a TV show, who's making very quick decisions on what music to pull in and audition in the video and which cues he or she should just move straight past. So you have to start off with a bang, or at least something extremely interesting or captivating, so that that person will listen beyond 4 seconds and give your track a chance within the context of the project. And so to accomplish this aim, I often start with everything you can imagine in the cue. The thing starts off guns blazing, like a bull in a china shop, just rushing through, smacking you upside the face with all of the good stuff. Now, we're not talking about pure chaos here, but what I am saying is that all of the elements that would make your section huge and robust, which you would typically think of as a climax, we're going to put that at the very beginning of the track. So it is hitting the listener almost immediately after they press play. And this section is going to last for 8 to 16 bars or so, or just however long your chord progression or your rhythmic progression or your melodic progression will take you to get through it. And that's probably going to be about 20 to 25 seconds or so. And once you get that 20 to 25 second section put together, that is called your king section. It is super duper powerful. Okay, now we are going to move on to the queen section. And to accomplish this, we are going to select all of that 16 bars or whatever it was, copy it, and paste it immediately after the king section. So we're going from king to queen. Now, right now, it's going to sound like a complete carbon copy, which it is because you just copied and pasted it. So what we're going to do now is in this queen section, we are going to start to reduce things. You are going to just select elements and press the delete key. What we are essentially doing is we are lowering the energy level or lowering the emotional impact. And I often accomplish this by just highlighting certain things and deleting the heck out of them. If you had a lead line or a melody in the king section, just simply take it out in the queen section. If you had a hi-hat pattern that was doing 16th notes in the king section, then drop it down to 8th notes in the queen section. All we are doing is we copied the king and we pasted it right afterwards, and now we are deleting elements so that now we have two distinctly different sections of varying intensity and sonics, but we built it off of just copying and pasting and then deleting. Now what you're going to do is you are going to copy the queen section and paste it immediately after the queen, and we are now going to make the jack section. And in the jack section, you really want to simplify as much as possible. Maybe just reduce all of that music to some big rhythmic hits, some doom, doom, doom. Take any rhythmic elements that you had and reduce them so drastically that all you really have left is the bare bones of the rhythm. We are simplifying this section so much that all that there is really left is the skeleton of the cue. And this section is so useful for those moments where a TV show editor needs something that is unobtrusive because they've got characters talking on screen or some voiceover or dialogue part, and they don't want the music to interfere with those vocals. This stripped down section, which is the jack, is often one of the most used parts of your cue because it is so unobtrusive. Now, we've got the king, we've got the queen, we've got the jack, and we are going to finish our cue with an ace section. And if you know anything about blackjack or cards, you will know that the ace is actually the real most powerful card in the deck. And so this has to be more powerful than the king. And so now we are going to go back to the beginning of the cue. We're going to find our king section. We are going to copy that and we are going to paste it at the conclusion of the jack section. Now all of our energy is back in the piece, but since the ace is a little more powerful than a king, we need to add a little something extra. Now that something extra doesn't need to be bombastic and grandiose or even over the top. It just has to be something that you can feel to make the energy just a little bit more than the king section. I often do this by adding tambourine, just like going ham on 16th notes. If you had a lead line, you can just highlight those notes and drag the MIDI up an octave, or just if you're playing it, just play it an octave higher so that the energy is elevated by that much over what it was in the king section. So did that all make sense? I hope so, but sometimes you actually just need to hear it in context rather than listen to a verbal description of it. So let's take a look at this waveform, and if you've done this strategy properly, you should be able to easily identify each section, the king, queen, jack, and ace, because the varying levels of intensity will lead to different looks of the waveform. Here is the king section, and you can see that waveform is fairly dense because everything is kind of all in at this point. And then I copied it over here. Here is the queen section, and you can already see that the power of this section is minimized from the king that came before it because the waveform is also minimized. And then moving over here, we've got the jack section, which is essentially just kind of a skeleton of your track. In fact, it kind of looks like fish bones. And then we end up with the ace section, which is a copy of the king, which came back here, only it has a little more stuff to it to make it even more energetic than the king. So now that I have described it all to you and I've shown you how it looks visually, let's take a listen to how it sounds in practice. We're going to start off with a bang, so these first 4 seconds are instantly captivating. Here we go. Okay, we're coming up to the end of the king section. Little edit point. Now we're into the queen, which was a copy and paste of the king, but I deleted some elements to make it less frenetic, less energetic, and just a reduced version of itself. Now here comes the jack. I super simplified the drums. Everything has just been stripped away, leaving just the skeleton of the track that came before it. Now we're into the ace, which is the king on crack. I've got a tambourine in there that wasn't there in the king section. So I hope now you see the power of this strategy and see how you can use copying and pasting along with some very strategic deletions and additions to make music much faster than you ever thought possible. This is really the secret to my success here. It's just that I learned how to press Command C and Command V, copy and paste, and then add stuff and delete stuff so it didn't sound like I was just shamelessly repeating a 20-second passage of music for 2 minutes. And aside from the speed at which you can compose it, the real beauty of this strategy is that it gives your cue 4 distinctly different sections for an editor of a TV show to choose from. So that's how we can use copy and paste to our benefit, and that's really how I built my full-time music career. There's really no secret sauce to this. It's just a clever way to make music faster and more usable. So now that you know the King, Queen, Jack, Ace strategy as a whole, I would like to tell you about another variation of it that I cooked up called the Low Ace Intro. And if you want to learn more about that, just click this video right here. See this box? Yeah, click that and I'll see you there. Take care, rock stars. Toodaloo!